আমি ফোকাসটা রাখবো ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল সেক্টরের উপরই এবং এক্সটার্নাল সেক্টর, এই দুটো সাইডে আমি ফোকাসটা প্রাইমারিলি রাখবো। আমরা যেগুলো চ্যালেঞ্জ ফেস করেছিলাম সেগুলোকে যদি আমি জাস্ট এনি র্যান্ডম অর্ডারে প্লেস করি, ইনফ্লেশন, এক্সচেঞ্জের স্টেবিলিটি, আর সেই সাথে ব্যালেন্স অফ পেমেন্টের একটা প্রিক্যারিয়াস অবস্থা, লার্জ ডেফিসিট ইন কারেন্ট অ্যাকাউন্ট, র্যাপিডলি ডিক্লাইনিং রিজার্ভস এবং র্যাপিডলি ডেপ্রিসিয়েটিং কারেন্সি এক্সচেঞ্জ রেট। আরেকটা চ্যালেঞ্জ হয়ে গেছিল সাথে, সেটা অনেকে জানেন না, কিন্তু সেটা হচ্ছে যে রিজাম্পশন অফ নর্মাল ট্রেড ফ্লোস বিকেম এ মেজর ইস্যু। আমাদের বেশিরভাগ করেসপন্ডেন্ট ব্যাংক অলরেডি আমাদের অ্যাকাউন্ট বন্ধ করে দিচ্ছিল অথবা সংকুচিত করে দিচ্ছিল। যার 100 মিলিয়ন ছিল সে সেটাকে 50 বা 25 করে দিচ্ছিল। কারণটা ছিল যে প্রায় $3.5 বিলিয়ন এরিয়াস জমে গেছিল এবং সেইগুলোকে সেটেল করা হয়নি। দ্যাট ওয়াজ দ্য চ্যালেঞ্জ, অ্যাজ ভেরি শর্ট টার্ম চ্যালেঞ্জ, যেটাকে ইমিডিয়েটলি ফ্যান্স না করলে পরে আমাদেরকে হয়তো কেউ ইম্পোর্ট এলসি খুলতো না আমাদেরকে। ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল সেক্টর স্টেবিলিটি, এটা তো অবশ্যই আমরা জানি এবং স্টিল এ লিঙ্গারিং থিং। অ্যান্ড সাথে ব্যাংকিং সেক্টর লিকুইডিটি ক্রাইসিসটা ছিল, এনপিএলস ওয়াজ সার্জিং, আর ছিল আন্ডার ক্যাপিটালাইজেশন অ্যান্ড ল্যাক অফ গুড গভর্নেন্স। এই জিনিসগুলোকে আমাদেরকে অ্যাড্রেস করতে হয়েছে in the last almost 16-17 months. আমরা যদি এক্সচেঞ্জ রেটের কথাই ধরি, আমরা জানি যে অনেকেই আমাকে ক্রিটিসাইজ করেছেন, আমাদেরকে ক্রিটিসাইজ করেছেন যে আইএমএফ এর সাথে আমরা এগ্রি করতে পারছি না, আমরা চাচ্ছি এক্সচেঞ্জ রেট ফিক্স করতে, ইত্যাদি ইত্যাদি নানান কথা শুনেছি। কিন্তু সেটা উদ্দেশ্য সেটা নয়। উদ্দেশ্য ছিল যে আনস্টেবল এনভায়রনমেন্টকে আমরা এক্সচেঞ্জ রেটকে ফ্লোট করতে দেব না। আনলেস দ্য এক্সটার্নাল কন্ডিশনস আর কন্ডিউসিভ, এক্সচেঞ্জ রেট যদি ফ্লোট করা হয়, আই ওয়াজ অ্যাবসলিউটলি শিওর মাইসেলফ যে আমাদের এক্সচেঞ্জ রেট পাকিস্তান বা শ্রীলঙ্কার মতোই হবে। সেটা কোথায়? শ্রীলঙ্কা এখন 308 রুপি পার ডলার, পাকিস্তান কত? 279 টাকা পার ডলার। আমাদেরটা হয়তো 190, 108, 200 এরকম কিছু একটা হয়ে যেত। কিন্তু আমরা তো আইএমএফ কথায় সে তখন নুরি নাই। আমাদের চেষ্টা ছিল যে লেটস ক্লিয়ার দ্য এরিয়াস। দ্য ভেরি সেকেন্ড ডে অফ মাই governorship, I had a meeting, Zoom meeting, with 200+ bankers, foreign bankers, যারা আমাদের সাথে বাংলাদেশের সাথে ট্রেড ফাইন্যান্সিং করে। একটাই উদ্দেশ্য, to convey to the message that yes, we have a problem, but Bangladesh has been a trusted partner, a trading partner. We have serviced all our obligations for the last 50 years, despite many problems. And this is a problem that's going to be short term. So don't shut it down. Leave it open and don't shut it down further. Leave it where it is and increase it when you feel comfortable. That was the message that was given. 4 মাস পরে যখন আবার দুবাইতে গেলাম, by that time our balance of payment already turned out positive. Then again I had a Zoom meeting and a live meeting also with Dubai bankers, as well as Zoom meeting with other external bankers. The message was that things are improving. You please start opening your correspondent account limits. And I must say that all banks have gone back to their previous level or have increased further from the level they had. So that is a very important but not much talked about issue. But without that, our trade flows kintu bond hoye jeta, and it was not very far off mark. So, fight against inflation is a challenge, and I had always the conviction that if I cannot stabilize the exchange rate, I will never win inflation fight, because bulk of the inflation that at that time that originated from external sources. That means about dollar depreciation was the main reason for that, along with some price pressures because of Ukraine war and so on, but dollar depreciation was a major factor. We cannot do anything about Ukraine war, we cannot do anything about COVID, but we can do a lot with exchange rate stabilization, and that's where we focused on. So, the day I inherited this post, the exchange rate was 120. Today the exchange rate is 122 plus. If I said that on that day, nobody would have believed me, but it is a statement of fact. So, balance of payment is in positive. We all know that. Current account is in surplus. Financial account is in surplus. The overall balance is in large surplus, and we are building reserves. Reserves which declined to 17 is now 27. It's $10 billion increase in the last 1 year. So these are all on the external front, and I can assure you one thing. During the last Ramadan, we had the most difficult time. During the last Hajj, we had the most difficult time. But I can tell you one thing. After the Hajj, our religious advisor, he came to my office and thanked that we mobilized all the requirements of Hajj funding. And Bangladesh was the first country to rent apartments closest to the Haram Sharif, before India and Pakistan did. We did it. The reduction of arrears is now completely eliminated. There is no arrears issue, except for those which are in dispute. If it is a dispute case, that's a separate issue. Until the dispute is settled, payments cannot be made. But that amount is also very small. It's about a few $100 million, but not the billions of dollars, $3.5 billion that we inherited. Now, interest rate reduction is an issue that's coming back from within the government, also from outside the government, and of course the business community. My message has been consistent and still the same, that we need to maintain a slightly positive real policy rate, slightly positive in real terms. What is that and how much? I have been telling that if you look at India, it is now 4-5% positive. If you look at US, it's right now about 2% or so positive. Most other countries, it has positive policy real rate. We have to achieve that. When it took it to 10%, our inflation was 12.5%. Since then, 12.5% has come down to 8% plus. So, we are in the positive territory now. But my objective is to make it 2.5 to 3% positive territory, which will require another 1 percentage point reduction in inflation as a minimum. Then we can start cutting down the interest rate and so on. But in the meantime, there is no interference in the foreign exchange market. There is no interference in the interest rate market. Everything is based on market principles. We do not interfere with any of the price discovery mechanism that the market sets for itself. Interest rate reduction is a problem. It's a problem between money market and the fiscal management. There is a tension because of government borrowing requirement is high, and it is not going to come down immediately. If it's going to increase next year, I'm afraid. So we have a deposit rate which collapsed to about 7%. Now it has increased to 10%. And it will be increasing further, we hope. Why it will increase further? Because if we continue to have balance of payment surplus, money doesn't come just like that. Either we have to print in Bangladesh Bank, or you have to get the money from abroad. Printing is an option that we have stopped on day one. I have stopped two things. No more sale of foreign currency on day one, and I haven't sold a single dollar in the market since that day. Secondly, for budget financing, no printing of money. Finance Secretary can testify for that. No printing. They borrow it from the market, and that's the way it is running. So there's a tension. Tension is that because they're borrowing from the market, same market, which is a pool of loanable fund. How much? Even after the 10% level, the loanable fund level is about 1.8 trillion dollars. That means 1,80,000 crore. Government takes away 1 lakh solid. So I'm left with only 80,000 crore for the private sector. What am I going to do? I cannot print money, or I should not print money if I want to fight inflation. So this tension is there, and it will remain there. And there are two ways to alleviate the tension. One is if NBR can mobilize much more revenue, then the borrowing requirement will slowly go down. I don't recommend too much borrowing from abroad for budget financing. I don't mind financing for annual development plan. That is okay. That's perfectly all right. If you get concessional and other means, that's fine. But not for direct cash support for budget, because that it reduces my money market tension. I fully agree. If you can borrow $500 million, that reduces 6,000 crore of borrowing requirement in the money market and reduces tension. That's a temporary solution, but it's not an advisable solution, because ultimately you have to pay it back, and it's for daily consumption purpose of the budget. It's not for investment purpose of the budget. So essentially the tension is going to stay. We are hoping that the deposit growth will increase further. Maybe if it goes back to historical level, maybe in another 6 months or 1 year time, we'll get another 40,000 or 80,000. 4% is about 80,000 crore. That will add to the private sector if the budget deficit remains pretty much where they are. So these are the things that we have to walk through to make the money market and exchange market and all that things to keep in balance. So that's it. So there will be no immediate reduction of interest rate. I'm sorry, because of this tension, because of inflation, we have to address those issues, and it has to be market based. I don't believe in administratively determining any interest rate policy, because that will create more distortion, more problem down the line. So let's not even think of it. Financial sector stability is a very important part of our agenda, but a most difficult part of our agenda. Is not going to be solved. External sector, I can guarantee you there will be no problem. Even the election or beyond, absolutely I don't see any cloud in the horizon on the external sector. It's done. It's under control. Absolutely under control. But on the financial stability, it's still quite far off. This is not an easy task. We have emphasized good governance and focused on transparency. Both are important. Transparency is equally important. Why transparency is important? We have been always told that our NPL is 8 to 9%, etc., etc., etc. I used to tell when I was outside the government that my conviction was that it will be 3 times. That means about 25% or so. But through my dismay, now I find it is 35% plus. But we have made it transparently available to the press and everybody that there were speculations that why it is not being printed, why it is being. We have released the whole data in full, and it is unpleasant number 35%. But I can assure you one thing: there are changes happening. By December, we will definitely see some significant reduction. How much I will not say. There are optimists in our shop, but there I will say significant. But it will not be increasing any further. It will come down. Before any reduction, we first have to take the stock. How big is the problem? The problem is big, and it is 35 plus, 35.6%. So from there, I have to climb down now, and hope that it will not go any further. So that's the challenge. On the good governance issue, we have already changed 14 boards and trying to improve their financial positions and so on. But some cases the banks are beyond repair. It cannot be salvaged. There are banks where 99% of their assets is NPL and not recoverable. The money is outside the Bangladesh even. What do you do? So there is no arithmetic, there is no touchstones that I can convert them into functional banks and so on. So we had to go for bank resolution and so on. So governance is a critical issue. So we have said that while we will be working on NPL reduction through asset management company, good governance will be the ultimate solution, and the macro stability and deposit growth will be the supporting policy. That means time. Deposits will grow, NPL will come down slowly, and good governance, through good governance, the returns, the new money will be plowed back into the system. Why? No dividend until you make profit. No dividend until you eliminate all your capital shortfall. So they're not very happy, but that's the policy in place. Last year we did not allow anyone, and this year also the same policy will be in place. No bonus for workers, no bonus for bank staff if the bank is making losses. You just can't be enjoying a happy life at the expense of depositors' money. So these are governance issues, these are accountabilities, and we are also making changes and asking that any loan which is being granted and immediately fell into this, the officers should be held accountable. We will track down those branch managers or the MDs or whoever is signing on that. They must be held accountable from now on. We have undertaken legal reforms to support the good governance issue. Bank resolution ordinance is now in implementation through the resolution of the 5 banks and 9 NBFIs. Thanks to the government, they have allocated 20,000 crore for resolution of 5 banks, and I'm hoping for 5,000 crore for resolution of 9 NBFIs. No, money will not be printed. It has to come from the budget and the money market. I'm not printing the money for the government. Then there is a Deposit Insurance Act, which is an ordinance which is already passed. These two are passed, and we are using these two ordinances to bank resolution purpose. Money loan court is absolutely needed to be reformed. That law is now in the system. Hopefully it will be approved very soon. Bank Company Act, to reduce the authority and power of those so-called owners of the banks. There are significant changes in that, which will reduce their authority, and independent board members will be at least 50% or more, and independent board members have to be taken from a panel of independent directors. Once this law is in place, we will set up that panel. Another important thing is Bangladesh Bank Order. This is something we also believe, Bangladesh Bank believes that it is very important for not having a repeat of what has happened in the past. We have to hold Bangladesh Bank accountable. At the same time, we have to give it the autonomy and the authority to act on time and not be politically driven on those issues. So that is also in the pipeline, and we hope it can move very fast. Bankruptcy Act is still draft stage, and asset management company is about to be sent to the government for enactment. So these are the structural legal reforms that we have done or doing. Hopefully, it will be completed by this interim government tenure and then ratified by the next government. The merger of 5 banks is going on. So far, so good. We'll be starting disbursements of the minimum, the deposit guarantee part of it, which we have increased from 1 lakh to 2 lakh. and that we disburse it from probably next week onward, or even maybe this Thursday. Who knows? We are ready. We have everything ready, and it can be started. 9 NBFIs are under active consideration for resolution. We have done all the homework. We have notified them that why show cause, why we should not liquidate them and pay off the depositors. A lot of depositors group came to us and they were very happy that they will get their money. I must again thank the government for taking the initiative. For the 5 banks, with this 5 banks resolution, 76 lakh households will get back their money. That's very important thing. That means how many, a significant part of the population is deprived of access to their own funds. I think we are making progress, but it will take time. It's not going to be resolved in 1 or 2 or 3 years. It will take time. The new bank that is being formed, for example, we hope it will become profitable, maybe in the first or second year, possibly in the first year, according to our homework. But that sounds too optimistic even to me. But calculation shows that they should make money. But let's see. We believe this process will take time. Asset recovery part will help if we can successful on that. There are 2 elements to that. One is the domestic part, where we have attached all the properties of those people, all their assets, their shares in banks, and also their land assets and other assets and so on and so forth. Only issue is here the legal transfer of authority to the banks from where the money has been taken. So that will help recapitalization of banks again and the resolution of NPL also. But we are dependent on the banking, on the court system for that part of domestic asset recovery. Foreign asset recovery is more complicated, but what we have done, we have set up the government agencies part for criminal pursuing the matter criminally, but also we have tied up our banks with international law firms and allowed them that you can pursue your civil proceedings internationally. So already 2 of the banks, Islamic Bank and UCBL, has put claims on Saiful Zaman's assets which are under liquidation in London, and they will get some money. Whatever, I don't know, but they will get some money from the liquidation of 350 houses in London that he has bought. And so these are some of the things. It says progress. It's a development in progress. I can assure one thing. We have not closed or let any factory be closed because of access to funds. Even Asalam's companies are functioning, but Asalam is not getting the money. We have ring-fenced the money. It is in the banks in Bangladesh. LLC is open. Money comes. The money gets into that escrow account and distributed to local players. Except for Beximco Textile. Nothing of the Beximco has been shut down. Everything is operational. You go to the Yellow, you go to Akash, you go to Tista Solar, everything is operational. They have like 17 or 18 entities and so on. Our policy is not to shut any enterprise, even if they are defaulting by thousands of crores, but ring fence those, take management and financing of those operations and prevent the culprits from getting any benefit out of these transactions, but not to allow any workers to be unemployed and so on. So that is working by and large. Except for Beximco Textile, everything has been taken care of. Right now, this Asalam Power, which is a Chinese Asalam joint venture, Asalam share is 20%, Chinese is 80%. It's a $2.5 billion investment that was going to be shut down. I had to sit 3 times with them and work out the working arrangement to keep it running, because there's a 2.5 megawatt, 2,500 megawatt of electricity is produced from there. It's easy to kill it because it's a salon. Our banks were reluctant. We have to tell them you have to blend it because it's not a salon, it's our property. That 20% share belongs to the banks and the government, not to a salon anymore. We'll not give you the share. So, but these are challenging things. We have to also make the next government accountable to these things because these are significant progress has been made, but let's not be undone. So we hope the next government will carry on these legal proceedings and all the issues, but there is an expectation somehow in the circle that if after the election they can make a better settlement and so on. We hope that doesn't happen. Thank you.